I have a delightful job to do this afternoon, and that is to welcome you to this symposium on creating sustainable communities. My name is Rob Duck, and I'm Dean of the School of the Environment in the University of Dundee. And my first task is to welcome you here on behalf of the university and also on behalf of the School of the Environment. The School of the Environment is a relatively new entity. It's been around now for a couple of years. And it brings together the disciplines of architecture, town and regional planning, geography, and environmental science. And right at the heart of what we do in the school is this word sustainability. Whether it's sustainability of the natural environment or indeed of the built environment. And that's very much the theme of what you're going to hear about in this symposium this afternoon, creating sustainable communities, better approaches to master planning. And the master planner behind this meeting this afternoon is standing to my left, Sam Alweir, and he's put in a huge amount of effort, aided and abetted by a good team of people behind him, to bring this group of people together this afternoon. I think you've got a super program ahead. There's lots to think about, there's lots to discuss. And I think without further ado, I should hand over now to Hassan, who's done a huge amount of work, and I'm sure you'll appreciate that it's all been worthwhile. And I'm going to hand over to him now and say thank you very much to him for getting this program off the ground. Thanks, Hassan.
Hello everyone, I'm not going to speak about my name is Hussam. I'm a senior lecturer here in Dundee. I just would like to welcome everyone in this room. And I'm going to say one thing I learned from David Lola. Everyone in this room has something to say, has something to do, has some responsibility for the whole day today. It will be a very busy day, so please bear with us. I am aware that the left screen is doing some funny things, which is something out of our control at the moment, but at least we have two screens, so we are on the safe side. Now, to start with, I would like to thank everyone involved in this program, because I could assure to you this is seriously people from policymakers, local authorities, practitioners, and academics involved in the narrative of the program. So it is not something only came from Dundee University. I could say a range of collaborators, Architecture Design Scotland, Academy of Urbanism, the Royal Institute for Chartered Surveyor, SNEFA, and who is else? and Planning Aid for Scotland. So without further ado, my colleague Kevin Murray from the Academy of Urbanism will facilitate the session today. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Sam. It's nice to be back here in Dundee, indeed in this lecture theatre, taking forward what has already been an important programme. I just want to check how many of you have been to any of the previous symposia or lectures here? Excellent. Good. So a lot of people from Dundee, but not just from Dundee, and from further afield. So this is part of a series. It's about growing and evolving knowledge and sharing that. Welcome, just grab a seat. We're going to start very quickly. There is a reason that one of our speakers couldn't be here, so we have his video to watch, which should be hopefully as entertaining as his speech. Yes. So we'll be getting that second up. First up will be Hussam himself. And then we're going to move on to Professor Lawrence Barth from the Architectural Association in London, and then Petra Bieberbach from Planning Aid for Scotland, who again, many of you will know. And they're not all coming to this theme of master planning and its contribution to sustainable communities as this is all great and it's wonderful. We have to self-critique. Some of those discussions have already taken place in lectures and events that Hussam has led in this room and in this institution. The danger with the recession is that people think that things like master planning and design don't matter, or that they are simply a cost. And for those of you involved in the process, you will often find that anything to do with planning is seen as a hindrance, anything to do with design is seen to be an encumbrance, and anything to do with placemaking is seen as motherhood and apple pie. It's waffle. And the danger is, in a recession, we throw out all these, not just skills and tools, but the philosophy behind them, and we leave places just to happen as the market wishes, year by year, political cycle on political cycle, and very short term. And we end up with places that don't work, that don't hang together. Because many of the projects, whether they're of development, new development, or of regeneration, are long term, 5, 10, 15, sometimes 20 or 30-year programs, and they need some kind of holding frame. A holding frame around place, but also, as you'll hear from some of our speakers, around community, social aspects, and also around economy and investment aspects. So we're going to hear some interesting perspectives, but as you've already heard, what we want is your contributions, particularly those of you who are going to be involved in the workshops after this. Your knowledge, your views, your experience, they are part of the process. This is a sharing event, and we look forward to doing that with you. To start us off, building on some of the thinking he's been doing during the last few events, Husam's going to talk to us about the 6 C principles of integrated master plan processes. And for those of you who don't know Husam, you will pick up on his passion, his enthusiasm. He's a senior architecture lecturer here, but he's passionate about sustainable urban design and sustainable master planning for sustainable places. Now that sounds like we're just throwing the word sustainable around. We're not. The issue, it relates to long term, it relates to energy, it relates to continuity and intergenerational equity. And at that point, I'm going to stop using the jargon. Okay? I'm going to sit down and we're going to hear from Husam. Please welcome him.
I'm not going to speak a lot because I believe I have only 15 minutes, but I'm just going to give a reflective summary to what we have had within the last 3 years between Dundee University and other collaborators and participants, between policymakers, practitioners, and theory. So what you're going to see right now is not my belief. It is what we have achieved so far with Architecture Design Scotland, with the Academy of Urbanism and other partners in terms of what does that mean, master planning process. I'm only going to raise issues and concerns came from the last 2 years. And that's based on those, especially those 2 events we had last year, and they are available online from Architecture Design Scotland and Geddes Institute for Urban Research. I would like to start with this very interesting slide, regardless whether it is right or not, from Rob Cohen. When he came last year, he shared with us this statement, regardless whether it is true or not, 94% of the master plan fails. Why? Of course, I don't know from where he brought this statistics, 94, whether it is 94 or 90 or 80. We came last year and year before with 2 main questions. Is master planning relevant in a recession? What does that mean, master plan? Is it really relevant? Is it valid? Everyone talk about master plan. Is it master planning or master plan? What is it? If you ask architects and you ask planners, all the time you have with 2 different answers. Not to mention someone from economy or someone else. What's certain in the master plan? And how certain in these times, especially within the current pressure, current austerities. And as I said, I'm going to flash what we call them the 6 C's. Those 6 C's came from theory, practice, observations, and responses. When we refer to master planning, definitely we refer to place making. And actually, I'm not going to say a lot about sustainability. Actually, you hardly see word sustainability in my slide. One thing I am very keen, and I found it very interesting in Architecture Design Scotland, especially the urbanism section, they're really trying to move forward with what we call it place making. And that's what I found it interesting, more than word sustainability itself, because I found it very misleading. We believe we live at the moment in the age of uncertainty. And 2 things came to my mind: change and uncertainty. We change. the social factors change, economic factors change, and environment. So if change and uncertainty are the only certain and the only certainty we may have, this is then clearly necessary to make this much more explicit now in the way we do master planning and in the way we do strategic thinking about the process of master planning decision and the tools and the technique we use to assess the success of the master planning. I'm not going through all of this, but seriously, this came from very interesting discussion. This is the first time I present this slide, came from very interesting discussion, i.e., yes, we know the urgent need to reduce the environmental and social impacts of existing and new places. What we need, we must now find ways to do things quickly and reliably. Quickly, so we need to be quick, but also we need to be reliable. There is no money anymore, there is no investment to invest in wrong places. We don't have the resources anymore. So we can't no longer afford to invest in the wrong places, but we can do things carefully. That's what is required now. We're doing things carefully. We have rapid technology and social and environmental change. So we need to keep ahead of the game. We really need to keep ahead of the game. Increasing complication now. We start facing complication, requirements, routine, bureaucracy. We need to find what works well and do things better. Outsourcing of technology and even operational skills, the research and feedback by government. We need to replace the lost but practical experience. Excessive reliance on economy, contracts and market. Virtualization of education and practice. Professionals need to confront the consequences of their actions and learn from them and share the results and actually learn from what works and what doesn't work. We need to be honest and open about if something works with you guys, come and tell us. If it doesn't work, we need to be transparent and to see why it doesn't work and what lessons could be learned if we really want to save our resources and money. What is master planning? What is master planning? That's, by the way, the most recent definition, interestingly, for CAPE before they merged and they called themselves Design Council. So imagine that was the last report in 2011 before they merged and they called themselves Design Council. And interestingly, they did admit master planning is a process. But what I like about them, they use word creatively, but also they refer it to place making. So it is about making places, and it is a process to resolve conflict and pursuing shared interest. But what we're trying to define in terms of master planning? Can master planning be used as a mechanism to manage change, to create impact? That's the phrase we're trying to use. Of course, I'm not saying we managed to find solution for it yet. Can master planning as a technique, as a tool, as a drawing, or as a community at the end of the day be used as a mechanism to manage change, managing change to create impact on community? And I am referring to create on community in terms of continuous delivery and improvement. And so can be used as a flexible guide based on the nature of change, understanding what is driving it and what is driving change, and how it relates to the specific context of place and how people get involved in influencing it. So what I am trying to say, master plan and the focus of master plan is about people at the end of the day. So that's what we're trying to say, frameworking master planning for managing change over a wider area and over a lengthy time period. We're talking about time scale. Yes, we have to admit it will take time to realize master plan. And sometimes it might take 20 years, 25 years. So time factors is very critical in terms of master planning. And what counts at the end of the day in master planning is not a collection of buildings or a collection of space. What counts at the end of the day? The impact. And the impact factor we create. What change we create to the community. So it is time for change. We have to admit, yes, there is variation. That's the problem with this definition. There is variation in the scope, in the brief, time scale, and also it takes time to implement and realize master plan, or even sustainable master plan, whatever you want to call it. And changes to master plan inevitable. i.e., who knows what could be, the master plan will be valid in 5 years. Also want to mention issue of inflexibility. That's another challenge with reference to master plan. Inflexibilities of our process, of our planning process and system in terms of coping and embracing change, new ideas, even sometimes new policies, and sometimes skepticisms of developers. What does that mean, master plan? And actually I end up with this question: what added value does it bring it to us if we ask a developer or a client? That's something we discussed last year in terms of, yes, master plan about bringing two things together if we can. Public life and better economic leverage, and collaborate with efficiency. When I'm talking about efficiency, efficiency of resources, efficiency of speed, efficiency of our effort, making most of what we have. Why? To bring them together. Why? To collaborate and make impact. And those are the 6 C's, again, came from practitioners like all of you in this room. Those 6 C's are actually, I know someone might say why they are 7. I will say why they are 7 after I attend the presentation, which will come after myself. Context, people and place are matter. That's what is the context of master plan? If we ask ourselves, what is the context? What is valid at the end of the day? It's people and the place are matter. That's what's count in relation to master plan. Clarity. Lots of confusion, very vague picture. What does that mean, master plan? Is it about the design code? Is it about the brief? Is it about the framework development? Is it about the master plan? What is it? What is it, the master plan? And what is the strategic intention? That's what counts, the intention. Client and control. Who is the client now? The client must be the users and the community now. We really need to have a new interpretation toward client, but also control. All of us, we know some variables in master plan could be controlled, some variables are changeable. It is us as a professionals, it is us, we must define right from the beginning which variables can be controlled and which variables could change and why, and what is the role of end user was subject to the client. Change, collaboration, but also I add to it communications. I will leave it later on because that's to do with the community engagement and share, and I will show that later on. Change, yes, everyone agreed in this room, change is constant, and we agree change to master plan is constant. The question is here, who is able to manage change? Yes, we've done everything we can in terms of nice brief, consult the community, we did share it, okay? We delivered the plan. Who is responsible for continuity? And I will come to word continuity later. But who is responsible for continuity? If something doesn't work, who will feed to the local authorities? Who will feed to the developer? Who will feed to the community and local authorities? If we really want to manage change. And then cost and economy. That's, by the way, I will leave it to my colleague after myself to explain what does that mean, cost and especially economic master plan. But I would like to mention localized businesses are matter in places. Local businesses and enterprise are matter in this case. Continuity. It was very strange, by the way, within the last 2 years. No one has mentioned this word itself, continuity. No one at all. Yes, people talk about delivery and so on, but no one mentioned continuity, especially in terms of accountability, delivery, and improvement. Who will be responsible? People now talking a lot about assessment and evaluation and measurement. Where those techniques and tools fit Those tools, to me, they should help us to improve continuity and improve the master plan. Master plan should reproduce itself, should evolve every 4 or 5 years, but it is us should control and monitor that if we really want to achieve better places. I will skip those. I just want to focus. So this is the 7 C's, I could say, regardless. Sorry, I know 6 C's. Those C's, by the way, overlap horizontally and vertically. But I just would like to mention one thing, because I would like to leave the stage to someone else to explain. I think I explained more or less everything. So just with reference to the charrette itself, that's what we had last year as a really big conclusion from the 2 symposium. Interestingly, charrette fit quite well in the master plan. However, a lot of tensions in terms of speed and engagement. In terms of concentrated resources, overlap with real-time decision. Why? Understanding priorities for the community, which is hopefully informing the master plan. However, practitioners has raised 5 or 6 concerns. Authenticities. They questions the authenticities of the charrette, whether being a lecture theater stage where behind the wall a decision has been made already. That's one thing about the authenticity of the process, whether it is lecture theater stage or whether it is an open process. They question the context. Is it about style driven or is it about place driven? Is it about what is the status, where it fits? We don't know where it fits at the moment in the planning system in Scotland or even in England. Where it fits itself. Impact. Yes, it is about fast design process, 3-4 days, but where is the delivery, slow delivery? That was, by the way, a main issue. Okay, we've done lovely charrette, we bring the community, we listen to them, blah, blah, blah. What's happened after the hangover? What's happened? Who will take that forward? And who will feed that to the community if something changes? That was seriously big challenge and big issues last year. Especially the charrette hangover. Is it a sand in the machine at the end of the day? Or is it, who will take that forward? Who owns the charrette, by the way? And who will take that forward? And what is the role of the community in this? And also, it must be fit in longer process. That's what people said. The charrette does not start or doesn't have a start, and it shouldn't have an end. That's what we agreed about charrette. The last minute I would like to say, just little conclusion. I just would like to finish with this one because seriously that's one thing was very missing. Master planning, it's about time and time factors. It might take 60 years to get a proper master plan, 20 years. One thing to bear in mind, there are 4 critical stages. They are not all 3, and all of us are responsible. Prepare, which is about the briefing and the briefing process, the plan and the design, but also the finishing, and we must close the loop. That's what counts at the end of the day. We might do some lovely things here. Yeah, we might do lovely things here. How about the closing the loop? How about the monitoring? How about the continuous delivery? That's what counts at the end of the day, the whole life cycle of the project. That's what counts and that's what matters. It is not only the first stages or the second stages. It is about the whole process. And that's what my own interpretation. Make outcomes and delivery clearly visible in a way that motivates people to strive to improve them. So what counts at the end of the day in master plan? The outcomes and the delivery. Also, review professional ethics and practices. Appeal to place-making related professionals to work in the public interest and engage. Engage with what? Engage with the outcomes. And also consolidate the knowledge domain in terms of devolve place-making as a multidisciplinary knowledge domain with the authority to inform practice and policy making. Thank you very much.